Let's do it live. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's get ready to rumble. We are live. We got 4 concurrents already. Who's in the chat? Eisenhorn, let's go. Welcome back, Eisenhorn. Welcome back. Sugar Candy Miniatures, Rascal Hobbies, William Stone 40. William Stone 40, unfortunately you are not first. You are 4th. But close enough, right? Welcome to the stream, guys. Did you guys check out the new Kill Team trailer? That's all the rage. Come on in, guys. Make yourselves at home. It's Friday night. I hope everybody is feeling all right. I didn't mean to rhyme that. That feels like a disco song or something. But welcome back, everybody. Are we going to talk about that bomb squig? We are going to talk about the bomb squig, guys. That was a bomb squig. What is there to say about it? It appeared. I think probably the next Kill Team box will have a bomb squig in its mouth. Or sorry, a bomb squig in it with a dynamite in its mouth. That's what I got from that. You know what? I'm just going to complain about this before there's too many people in the chat. You know what bothered me is there's an orc with what was like a big shooter or something, and he's just absolutely laying down a blistering hail of fire with this heavy caliber weapon, and the guy with the sniper rifle is looking at the guys being shot at, and the guy has to gesture to him, being like, "Yo, over there." The guy's shooting from over there, in case you couldn't tell, in case the deafening massive muzzle flashes and everything didn't tip you off. He's right there, and then the guy looks over with the long las and shoots him. And I appreciate, the cinematic. They did a good job of knitting together all the little fight vignettes, and that was kind of the purpose of that. But still, I got a nitpick, right? Man, sucks to be those guys. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unambiguously unchill to be a guardsman, I would say. It is exciting to get the idea of a plastic death core of Krieg. I'm always tempted to say death corpse, but it's death core, right? Back me up on that. But yeah, that should be really exciting. I think Guard needs more plastics. So I think that's and I gotta give Games Workshop a pat on the back for that one, because I think it's a good call. I think what they chose, it should get a lot of new players in there, because the death core look really cool. The death core look really cool. And it's always nice to see a starter kit of anything that doesn't have Space Marines in it. Not that there's anything wrong with Space Marines, but I think we know they get a lot of starter kits. So, yeah. G is saying corpse. Do you guys say death corpse? Any English majors? Any decisive one way or the other? Paul Reedy says, wasn't getting a good signal here in the hospital, then boom, I got signal. Well, it looks like you were meant to join us today, Paul. Sorry to hear you're in the hospital. I hope it's nothing that can't be recovered from, or if it's for a loved one, then I wish them all the best. Anyway, sending my best either way. It's core, but corpse sounds better. Yeah, I agree with you. The corpse sounds better. Death Corpse. Sounds like a metal band. Yeah, core would be pronounced core. That's what I thought. So did anybody notice any special details in the trailer that we should discuss? One thing I did notice was it looked like orc terrain, but it was still very much in like a Sector Mechanicus vibe. So I wonder if we're gonna get like a looted Sector Mechanicus in the kit. I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually get hyped by trailers and things like that, but this one actually kind of pumped me up. I thought it looked really cool. And I also wonder who the animator was, if it's one of the people that they assimilated in the new Warhammer Plus deal, where they rounded up all the animators. Because it looked pretty cool. And it had, I think that's the best way to do a battle scene too, is to have little vignettes of combat that sort of showcase the individual struggles and then link them together as a larger combat. So I think they did a really good job just direction wise on this trailer, because I thought it was takes you right into the moment. Steel Legion of Armageddon, yes sir. We were just on a stream the other day, and somebody, I don't know if they're in the chat again, but somebody was saying, oh, they're coming out with a new Steel Legion or a new Plastic Krieg, and I said, yeah, right. I haven't seen anything about that. So here I am. I'm here to officially eat my own words. You were right. We got a Plastic Krieg coming, as far as we can tell, right? So that's pretty cool. We need to see more Eldar. Yeah, I think you're right. I think more Eldar should be on the docket. That would be definitely something I would approve of. What would you want to see? Like, if, for example, if they did an Eldar kill team box, what would you want to see? Plastic warp spiders, new Guardians. I think the warp spiders would be pretty cool, but I don't know how viable that would be as a kill team. To be honest, I don't know much about the kill team rules or the Eldar in kill team in particular. Let me know what you guys think. What would be your ideal starter box? Like, what factions do you think would be? And you got to be, like, you know, commercially minded here. You can't just say like the exact units that you want. You gotta put your Games Workshop hat on. Try to think strategically. Ardwolf says, well, this is a pleasant surprise. Back-to-back sessions. Kudos to yesterday. I had to watch this morning. Yeah, I've been streaming a lot. I don't know what to say. I find it enjoyable. And if I can just jump on for an hour or two here and paint some minis, then that's pretty cool. I just was holding this guy. Necron versus Eldar? I could see that. Ideal starter squats. Squats are an interesting one. Squats, obviously were squatted. But I think it's because they were trying to go away from it just being obvious fantasy in space. Just, you know, the same things as the fantasy world, but also in the 40k world. And I don't know. I feel like if they brought squats back, they'd quickly become not special. And people would quickly... And I don't know how many players they would have. New Guardians. New Guardians is a fair thing to want. As I said, I mean, I don't think the old Guardians look terrible, but they don't look new, that's for sure. I got silver paint all over my hand. How did I do that? Anything versus Zotes. So you want to see a full kill team of Zotes, eh? Interesting. Jokero versus Zotes. You heard it here first. A GSC versus Tau box set and the 5th Spear expansion would be cool. What's the 5th Spear expansion? Should I know what that is? Because I don't. CSM versus Tau? I would definitely approve of a CSM box. I think that would be really nice. But as far as Wasn't Tau just recently in a starter, a kill team starter? I guess we could be talking about either one here though, like a 40k starter or a kill team starter. If we see Jokero versus Zotes, I will eat my shirt and post a vid. Yeah, I don't think it's very likely, man. But I would like to see a vid of you eating your shirt. That sounds amusing. Death Corps of Krieg versus Orc Commandos, new Orc terrain, new rules. I think that's what we're going to get. So if that's your ideal box set, then I think you're in luck. Oops. Oopsie. Okay. I can't wait to kit bash the orcs. Do you think those orcs will be do you think they'll be in the same style as all the rest of the 40k orcs, or do you think they'll play around with... I mean, they looked like they would be classic 40k orcs. They didn't look like they were going to pull a Cruel Boys on those ones. Kind of interesting to see a divergence between the Age of Sigmar orcs and the 40k orcs. You had me at new orc terrain, and yes, that's the ideal box set I could wish for. So, the thing about orc terrain, like with the Sector Mechanicus set, when you have alchemite stacks and plasma conduits and stuff like that repeated over the battlefield, it's fine because it's like a standard template construct thing that you can imagine the Mechanicus makes them the same everywhere they go. And just, you know, the same pieces arranged in a different way can still look good. But orc stuff is supposed to be sort of one-off, unique, you know, and it's also not very hard to scratch build realistically, guys. Like if you could just add pieces of plastic card or pieces of, you know, corrugated paper and chipboard, and then add some rivets. So, and a part of me hopes that it's just new Sector Mechanicus stuff with some orc add-ons that you can put on, like, you know, some big skulls here and there that you can glue on where you want. But I suspect that's not going to be the case. I do suspect it's going to be permanently orky terrain, which I feel a bit mixed about that. Because, you know, Sector Mechanicus, basically every faction can fight in the Sector Mechanicus and it looks good, especially if they're against a human faction. But orc terrain only really looks good for orcs. But then again, it's an orc box set, and you know, orcs need some love, so why not? Yeah, Arman Sudath says, orc terrain are for the lazy crafters, that's why I love them. Lazy and beginners, I would say, and kids. I mean, it's a very accessible starter point, the orcs, because you don't have to worry about being particularly clean and neat. And that's not to say it takes no skill or that advanced crafters can't make cool orc stuff, because they absolutely can. Especially when you start getting into making custom vehicles and stuff like that. To make a vehicle look plausible and cool, with little tiny bits of plastic card everywhere. You know, that can be quite technical. But it almost seems like a bit of a shame if we get monopose, plastic, molded orc terrain in the starter set. Does anyone agree? Rain Shepherd says, I loved making terrain and for Gorkamorka back in the day. Forts and barriers were so much fun to build. Right, it's true. It's easy and fun to build orc terrain. And Gorkamorka is a great game. I would love to see that come back out. I guess they kind of did with Speed Freaks, but it's not the same vibe. Like, Speed Freaks is... They all look like really serious racing cars. They don't look so much like the Mad Max ramshackle trucks and buggies that Gorkamorka had. Gorkamorka is a really cool game aesthetically, I think. Hawkshroud7 says, by the way guys, I found a secondhand bookshop today and in it were millions of codexes. I really need to know if the Ogre Battle Tome from Warhammer Fantasy is rare, 2004, also it was just really cool. Well, you can always check, if you want to know the value of something, a little pro tip for you guys is go on eBay. And there's always going to be some people listing things for astronomical prices, sure, but you can sort on eBay by completed auctions, so you can see what people are actually paying for these things and what they have paid for them recently. So you can essentially mark the prices to market in real time as you're standing in a shop. Just pull out eBay and do that. So if you're ever wondering, that's a good way to do it, to price some rare hobby thing that you come across. And if nobody has sold one recently on eBay, then it's either super rare or so common and so undesirable that nobody's buying it. In which case you have to figure out what the value is to you personally. Fleesh Wolf asked, what color scheme are you painting at the moment? These are Armageddon Steel Legion, Imperial Guardsmen. They've often been compared to the Death Corps of Krieg, which is obviously topical today, but they have different helmets. They have, instead of like a sort of German helmet, they have this, I guess you would call that like a World War II American GI helmet. I'm not a huge military buff. If anybody knows a better name for this helmet, then let me know in the chat. And they also have, the Death Corps of Krieg have full-length trench coats, and these guys have sort of these half trenches. And those are the main differences. But otherwise, they're about the same in appearance. They've got the tactical gas mask. Let's do some edging. Edge highlighting, not edging. Oh. Looks like a Fallschirmjäger helmet a bit. Which one, the Death Corps or the Steel Legion? I'm not familiar with that term. Late war Fallschirmjäger helmet. Are you guys, yeah, which one are you guys talking about? You're talking about the Death Corps? So the Steel Legion helmets are more like German Fallschirmjäger paratrooper helmets. Cool. Edge highlighting, edging, why not both? I assume you guys are talking about lawn care, edging lawns, and we'll just leave it at that. US steel pot helmet. Edge highlighting is particularly bad thing to do on stream because I'm distracted by the chat and I get a little nervous, a little shaky. But you know what, whatever. Underscores is perfect, just in time after finishing work. Cool. Yeah, you guys want to let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from? Is it mostly North Americans right now? And do we have any Europeans who are staying up late? Let me know in the chat where you guys are from. It's part of my R&D process here because I'm still trying to figure out when the best times to stream are. I have kind of decided that I think I'm going to do Thursday afternoons, starting around noon, I think, as a fairly regular thing. But I'll also continue to pop in whenever I feel like it and just hang out while doing a little bit of painting. So let me know what you guys think. So Jäger in German means hunter, right? So what's a Fallschirmjäger? What are they hunting? Any Germans? Oh, we've got Argentina in the chat. Natalia Go, welcome. BA is Buenos Aires, I take it. Lord of the Rings says, if your hands start to shaking, put your wrists together, it helps me. Yeah, see, normally you can see I'm touching my two fingers together. I like to brace them like that. That helps. Or like, you can see my hands like this. Yeah, that works. Let's zoom this out a little bit. Oops, that looks bad. Armin Sedwu Suduth is from South Africa. Hawkshroud tuning in from sunny Scotland. So we do have some Europeans. Cool. And what time is it there? Like about 11? 11:30? It means parachute fighter or parachute soldier. There we go. Space Marine is tuning in from Israel. Welcome. Cyclopean Gate is tuning in from Pennsylvania. Welcome, guys. So, do you guys think we'll get a full 10 in a kill team for the Death Corps? It would be a shame if it was anything less than 10, I think. And do you think it'll include a demolition specialist of some kind, like in the trailer? Like the guy had the old classic, the Bugs Bunny plunger. What do you call that if not a Bugs Bunny plunger? For the bombs? That was in the trailer, right? I'm not imagining that. So I wonder if that'll be in there as some special model of some kind. Because they had a bomb squig as well too. So if there's a bomb squig on one side, it would make sense if there's some demolition related missions, which is kind of what they seem to be implying in the trailer, I thought. Demolition related objectives. Then it would make sense if both factions had the ability to blow things up. And I think that would kind of make Kill Team a little bit interesting, as if it were very involved in terms of the terrain, blowing up the terrain, interacting with the terrain. That could be really fun. Blasting cap, detonator, classic TNT detonator, TNT plunger. Yeah, Bugs Bunny plunger. I got the plunger part right. Who else uses that? Oh, it's Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote, I think, uses them more. The old Acme mail order plunger. U.S. Marine Hyde is painting up some dryads right now. U.S. Marine Hyde. Welcome to the chat. Are those the new dryads or the old dryads? The chunky guys made of lumber, or the new more, what would you call them? Graceful ones. Next project, interactive terrain, maybe, at Eric Lee. Huh. Eric Lee. Is he meant to tag me? Interactive terrain is cool. I would love to do stuff that has like walkways and bridges that you can move with like an action or something like that. Necromunda's good for having stuff like that you can use an action with one of your moves when you activate the model. Opening doors and stuff like that. Oh, there is an Eric Lee in the chat. Cool. Eric's, rise up. Love it. Miniature hydraulics is what I thought of. Oh yeah, I did that project like that when I was a kid with the miniature hydraulics where they use syringes. And that was actually very cool. And I'm sure you could make a piece of terrain like that. The problem is, the more movable something is, it's hard to have durable paints with movable pieces. Like durable, like wherever the hydraulic comes in and out would probably weather pretty quickly, if you guys know what I mean. So who in the chat, did everybody see the Kill Team trailer? And who's thinking they're going to buy it just on the strength of that? And who's still not necessarily sold? Lord Rings says maybe like a force field generator that you have to blow up before you can attack the enemy. Yeah, I mean, if you think about war movies, if you can't just have like a battle that lasts the entire movie, not without sub objectives. So it absolutely makes sense to have the terrain be more of a feature in the piece, in the battle, with little sub objectives baked into the different pieces. You know, demolish these to open an exit, or to close off, or to, you know, destroy a beacon of some kind that is important to the enemy. And, you know, a lot of the objectives, like a lot of missions talk about this in like in current 40k and stuff, but they always talk about them just sort of in the abstract. It's like they do them as an option, but I think it'd be cool to have physical representations of a lot of these objectives, and I think we might get something like that in the new Kill Team box, or at least they'll give you some plastic bombs. But that's kind of just speculation, guys. But isn't that what we're here for? A little bit of speculation. Rain Shepherd says, I'm looking forward to seeing more and then going from there. So tomorrow might change where I sway. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a very measured and mature way to look at it. Nelson Hickman says, typically the launch bundles are cheaper than buying the terrain and the rulebook together. That's typically true. That's typically true. So if you're looking to get into Kill Team, I think that's a good way. I think Kill Team suffers from a bit of a two-edged effect, which is on the one hand it's very accessible because it takes very few minis to play, but on the other hand, if you already have a lot of minis, it almost seems disappointing to play a game with so few minis. Like, I've actually never played a game of Kill Team myself, but I started off collecting 40k thinking, well, I'll make a Kill Team, and then next thing you know, I kept buying more models and I had enough for a small 40k game. So I kind of just skipped the Kill Team step. It was kind of right at the beginning of when that not chill thing happened that we're not going to talk about, that I was kind of getting enough models to take part. I just hope they give us pretty and unique orcs. That's a good thing to hope for. That's a good thing to hope for. I also hope that the models are nice. That's obviously first and foremost. I don't really see how they could screw up the Krieg models. I guess the only thing they could do is they could make the models in like a really big scale. They could make them just really bizarrely tall, like Cursed City. All those models are really tall. And wouldn't it be weird if the Krieg guys were like 1.5 feet taller than all the other guardsmen all of a sudden? Because then the guard people would need to get whole new armies, which might of course be exactly what Games Workshop intends, right? So Poppy Appletree says, told you so, and I'm not sure what Poppy Appletree is referring to. Igor Yanoti says, need to see models. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, guys. Got to see the models before you want to buy them. Very reasonable position. Very reasonable position. Also, the Krieg models are going to be fantastic for converting other Greatcoat regiments like Steel Legion. Yeah, Steel Legion, and maybe a little bit of Valhallans in there. What do you think? That's why I think it's such a missed opportunity that they don't do like these sprues with tons and tons of heads. Like, what if they did a kit? I talked about this on a previous stream, but what if they did a kit that was like the GW Skulls kit, but it was GW human heads, and you had, you know, your Mordians, Praetorians, Catachan, you know, you had different servitor heads, you had, what else? Blanking on the names of other Guardsmen. Valhallans, Talarn. That would be tremendous. I think every single hobbyist would buy that kit. If not for just severed heads, then to make, you know, custom models, custom cultists, custom menials, and custom NPCs, and custom everything. It'd be fantastic. You heard it here first, guys. If you see Games Workshop come out with that idea. Sebastian says Eric is spitting. I spit hot fire. Especially since they just banned third-party 3D printed heads and stuff, right? It's like, I mean, if you're gonna close the door on that, then fill that niche yourselves. You know, I think that's a reasonable thing to want for fans. Have you guys ever seen those videos where the rappers come around with like a jewelry tester and they test each other's chains, you know, to see if the diamonds are fake or whatever, because they have these outrageously expensive chains that look like, you know, I don't know, like a Pac-Man or something like that, and it's all done in like yellow diamonds, and of course the tiniest diamonds that has the least possible resale value, and then the chain costs like $750,000 or something insane. And they come around and test each other's chains. Anyways, I'm wondering if Games Workshop would have like a testing device to test for 3D printed resin in their tournaments. Because pretty soon, guys, it's going to get to the point where there's very common mass market printers with no layer lines or no tells of 3D prints. And if people are doing different sculpts, then that'll be a hint that it's 3D printed. But if they're doing just straight up forgeries of Games Workshop stuff, how are they going to tell? You're going to have some sort of way of coming up and busting you. Lord Rings said, would recasting a helmet count as 3D printing or nah? Well, it wouldn't count as 3D printing, but I don't think they'd allow that. Like, for you to recast for personal use, I don't think that's fair game. It's definitely not 3D printing, like, technically, but... Tyler Peck asked, what do you think the price will be? For the Kill Team box set, I think it'll be $165 US. That's my prediction. Oh, Bill Making Stuff is in the chat. Good evening, Bill. Armin Suduth keeps retracting his messages. Is he saying something messed up, guys? I don't see them. I just see the retractions. Because everybody's being really cool in the chat, but I do like banning people. So if I need to ban somebody, you guys let me know. Nelson Hickman says the easiest way to tell if it's a recast or Forge World is to look at the resin quality. If it's good quality, it didn't come from Forge World. I have heard that. I've heard a lot of complaints about Forge World quality. Inclusions, bubbles, warping. Pro sure. Hi Eric, I wonder how many miniatures you have. It feels like almost every single army is represented by some of the miniatures in your collection. Well, you're pretty right about that. I do have a lot of miniatures. As far as the absolute count, I haven't counted yet because some of my collection is actually still in Canada. But I do plan to get reunite my collection now that I'm in my new place. I've got a lot more storage space. I'm going to put everything down here, and then I'm going to do a video where I count everything, I lay it all out, and I show you guys how much of a problem I have. But it's a good kind of problem to have, right? Alnyaho says, where can I see the video about the Astalians and the ship, Eric? Well, the answer is I privated it because it went past. So guys, from in the future, because I don't know how much cluttering up my channel with old streams is going to affect the channel as a whole, I'm putting my old streams over on my Patreon page. That's right, behind a paywall. I know it's evil, but no, it's not evil, guys. It's just one of the benefits for my sweet Patreons. So if you guys want to watch old streams, head on over to my Patreon page, and they'll be posted there within a reasonable period of time after they go live. I might leave some of them live on the main channel for like a day or two, but I was a little bit concerned I was cannibalizing my views from my own last video by having a live stream up. Because, you know, YouTube doesn't give you a lot of information about that stuff. Like, they're quick to tell you, you know, this video is number 5 compared to the last ones you did or whatever, but they don't tell you specific tangible information about what's good and what's bad for your channel in a lot of circumstances. So you kind of have to do guesswork. Anyaho says, okay, thank you, but that video was super cool, by the way. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. By the way, guys, if you're here and you have a presence over on Twitch, go ahead and give me a follow over on Twitch. I'm Eric's Hobby Workshop in another window or something, because I might go live on there sometimes. I still have not totally figured out the benefits of each platform, and that way you might not miss a stream if I decide to go live over there. Bill Making Stuff said the monetization is weird. Views and watch time doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, well, Bill, obviously there's the price that advertisers are bidding for advertisements per click changes each month. So there's a fluctuation on that end, and then there's, I guess, a view or watch time won't necessarily tell you how many advertisements people saw in that time, or if they click through or anything, which all of which I think affect the actual earnings of the creator. But it is just bizarrely opaque, isn't it? Like, one of my patrons was saying to me yesterday, he's saying, how strange is it that, I mean, what other industries are there where the people don't know how to use the tools that they're using every day? And I kind of thought to myself, I compared it to like how a sailor would start to have hunches and feelings and experience about the weather, but it doesn't mean they can predict the weather, and it doesn't mean that that the weather can even be predicted. So yeah, the YouTube is as fickle as the weather, guys. You heard it here first. But it's also a lot of fun when everything's going well. No Mercy 40K says, followed on Twitch. No Mercy Mike, really excited to see more of your live streams. You know, I appreciate that you told me your other username, because sometimes like people have one username on Facebook, or like their real name, one username on YouTube, one username on Patreon, one username on Instagram, and so I can think I'm dealing with 4 different people and it's all the same person. And so when people have either the same username across all platforms or they identify themselves clearly, I always like that. Because that saves me from thinking that in my moments of doubt that maybe I only have as quarter as many people who like my work as I thought I did. Rain Shepherd says, I hear you, half the job is studying the job, not always fun. Yeah, but it is what it is. If they were completely transparent about how to game the algorithm, then a lot of people would just be gaming the algorithm, right? So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I don't know. Armin Sudith says, would you consider painting orcs in one of these streams, or is it just too hard? It's not. It's definitely not too hard. My brother has a orc army that he's working on in Europe, and he's been painting orcs, so I don't want to double up on his efforts since my family already have an orc army in it. Yeah. Midwinter Mini says, Eric, you ridiculously sexy beast. Hey, guy. Welcome to the chat. Very kind of you. Come on in, make yourself at home. Guy, did you see the new Kill Team trailer? Did you film a reaction video? You don't want to miss out on the window of reacting. Good man, your brother. All families should have an orc army. I agree. I agree. You know, I have some orcs here. I actually have some old metal commandos that I was planning on stripping and painting, and you know, those are going to be a lot less appealing as soon as this new kit comes out, but I still think they're nice miniatures. Jim Beloyd says there's a channel called Spiffing Brit that tries to game the algorithm. Turns out his answer is polls. I saw that. I remember everybody was posting those gaming the algorithm polls saying, you know, hashtag BTS, hashtag etc. What else? Like Justin Bieber saying all these things. Maybe if I say in my stream all these things, the NSA will pick up on it and promote this to a wider audience. So guys, put in the chat what do you think are some sweet keywords that I should say to attract people to my stream. I hear you get a lot of money on YouTube. Like one of the most lucrative sector of videos is like makeup tutorials. So if you guys know makeup brands, I'll read them out. How about home sales is supposed to be another good one. So if you guys need a mortgage, home insurance, yeah. Midwinter Mini says, I did indeed. I called it 8 months ago in a Reddit post. As soon as I saw them pulling special units from the Forge World site. We've got a clairvoyant here. Well, you were a good call. It was a good call. As I said earlier, somebody was in here telling me that there were new Plastic Creed coming, and I was skeptical. I was skeptical because I believe what my eyes and ears report when they report it, and not sooner. But I guess the writing was on the wall. So, you guys are good. Sephora, Joe P, thank you. That's I know Sephora. I've stood around in Sephora, rolling my eyes many times. L'Oreal, contouring. Hey, contouring. That's a hot. Should I contour this guy's gas mask, guys? Poppy Apple Tree. Not reading that one out loud. Mate, you've got a brush there. More paint on your eyelids and less on the model's makeup tutorial. Done. I guess that's true, right? But I don't know what this stuff would do to my skin. So I'm going to pass on the impromptu makeup tutorial with Citadel paints. Midwinter Minis with babies in both arms. Haha. Yeah, how's that going? That whole thing. It's so exciting for you, guy. Shantakai. Trying to catch up here. Jean Bark says, more time as its own environment, a city hit by a meteor. I'm working on a kind of forest/jungle near the sea, a bit swampy, a laguna, calling it Battle for the Laguna. Cool. Very cool. Whenever I think of Laguna, I think of that show Laguna Beach, which was some trash reality show that some girls used to watch back in the day. Not that there's anything wrong with trash reality TV. I started watching Too Hot to Handle Season 2 with my wife last night, and honestly it was so cringe. I just couldn't deal with these people. But still entertaining, right? Arman Suduth says, "Are you listening to music or a podcast?" I'm not listening to anything at all. I literally just wearing this because it makes me feel like a professional streamer. It's my safety blanket type thing. I guess I could be listening to something, but that would be a little bit distracting. I usually do listen to things while I'm working, but not typically while I'm streaming, on account of the level of focus that it takes to try not to embarrass myself painting and also to interact with you guys at the same time. New video idea: steal all your wife's designer makeup, try to paint a model with it, put all the keywords in the description for both audiences, maximum profits. Yeah, you'd think so, that the genre bending would be an obvious slam dunk, but sometimes it just falls in the cracks between both audiences and nobody cares about it, right? But, you know, there could be an idea there. Midwinter Mini said, "I just reminded Penny who I'm watching." Oh yeah, he is quite attractive, isn't he? Yeah, Penny's a woman of good taste. Tell Penny thank you, I'm flattered and I'm blushing now. Bill making stuff. Eric, I actually bought some GW minis. Alright. What'd you get, Bill? Can we get hashtag free Bill in the chat? Because I still feel bad about yesterday when I banned him for 5 minutes. Alias Hadriana says, "Putting up with your wife's cringy TV shows in moderation is wholesome." Yeah, you know, actually, to anybody who's finding that they have a time crunch between spending time with their family and painting models, I could say you could experiment with letting your significant other choose a TV show and then painting while you watch out of one eye at the same time, and you guys will have be spending time and getting through that pile of shame as well. Joe P says, "Ban him again." U.S. Marine Hyde has said, "I've been to Laguna Beach." Right on, man. G says, "Someone's got to go to the Shadow Realm." You know what? I'm not banning anybody unless anybody deserves it. Like, I don't just have the strong urge to persecute people for no reason, guys. I mean, you need to be tough but fair. That's the way to run a chat, I think. So I can't just go mad and start banning people for no reason. Midwinter Mini's right. "Sorry for the brief appearance. Babies have woken up. Bye. Have fun. XXX." Thanks for stopping in, guy. Nice chatting with you. Go attend to those babies. They're more important than the stream. Actually, should I ban Guy before he leaves? Let's do it, guys. I'm timing him out. What should I do? Should I ban him? I'm doing it. I'm gonna time him out right before he leaves. It's always so laggy when I try to do this. To the Shadow Realm, Guy. Got him. We got him, guys. He thinks he can leave without... He's timed out. I love you, Guy. I'm just playing around. Please come back. I would make a poor Inquisitioner. What's the name of that Inquisitor? The guy who like rides the dreadnought of judgment or whatever? It's something Russian. It's like a really on the nose. His name's like Dostoevsky or something. It's really on the nose reference to Russian literature. But yeah, they said it's like he finds everybody guilty except the people who are clearly innocent, who he finds guilty of wasting his time, and he punishes them to death. Karamazov, that's it. Brothers Karamazov is what I'm thinking of. He finds them guilty of wasting his time, and he sentences them to death anyways. Well, I hope Guy caught the whole context of me shadow banning him, because and I hope it doesn't like give him strikes on his YouTube channel or anything. But no, they couldn't possibly say that, because then just, you know, capricious actors could get you in trouble without you doing anything wrong, right? If you go by metrics, he's definitely the best Inquisitor. Does anybody else, Bill making stuff? I did worry about your ban. I felt so bad about your ban, dude. But don't guilt me, because I don't take kindly to that. I'm in the seat of power right now, so. Just kidding. Just kidding. Or am I? Alias Hadrianus, on the topic of wives, could you and Guy make a dramatic tea spill video each so my wife will watch nerd stuff with me? For those of you who aren't well versed in the terms of celebrity drama, I think the tea is like, spill the tea is like, you know, dish out the gossip. And so tea spilling videos are, you know, celebrity gossip videos. And my wife is always watching that stuff too. You know, she was watching this thing with hashtag Tati and hashtag James Charles and the Jeffree Star or whatever a while ago. I remember that one. I can't remember what it was about. It was about, I was like, oh, you didn't take my hair vitamins. You took these other company hair vitamins, and that was messed up. But yeah, I agree. I think the hobby community needs more drama. I think it needs more beefs. That's why I'm in here banning people left and right. Trying to spice things up for everybody. Grow the pie. Because you know the drama attracts the big bucks, right guys? No, it's all good fun. I think it's actually really sweet that the hobby community is so drama free and that everybody just gets along with everybody all the time for the very most part. Ban Bill again, that'll help with the free Bill hashtag. Bill says it's gone to your head. Okay, Bill, that's the final straw. Nobody says it's gone to my head. I'm shadow banning him, guys. He's timed out. Zero tolerance policy for criticism of the Eric's Hobby Workshop stream. Zero tolerance policy. Let that be a lesson to all of you. He's timed out. Glowdan says, Eric, you have a career in wrestling plot production, it sounds like. Yeah. Wrestling is, wrestling's pretty fun, but they overact everything. I like it when it's more convincing. I like when you really think that, you know, I never really was super into wrestling when I was a kid. My stepdad was actually like an amateur wrestler, so like real wrestling. So I always thought wrestling was, you know, grappling. And I always knew professional wrestling was total baloney. Like, it just never looked in the least bit convincing to me, and I didn't think it was supposed to. So I didn't follow it very closely, but I liked Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when he came out. Just that larger-than-life personality. That was always fun. Yeah, can we get hashtag free bills in the chat? Or hashtag lock Bill up? What do you guys think? Should I double down on his shadow ban when he comes back? Or should we hashtag free Bill? Bill's a good sport, isn't he? Sammy Rivera says, hi Eric, I really like the live vids, good stuff. By the way, you painting Steel Legion motivated me to paint some 2nd edition Imperial Guard Cadians. Yeah, T-spilling is wild. Awesome, man. 2nd edition Cadians, I actually really like those models. There's a real charm to them. I mean, I like all the Metal Guard models, basically. So I have collected a fair few myself, but I'm glad you're inspired. That's always makes me happy. Hashtag lock Bill up, then hashtag let out Bill later. Martin Christensen says hashtag knock Bill up. Not on this stream, dude. Maybe over on Bill's channel. Hashtag excommunicate Bill. Free the beads. Hashtag free Bill. What time is it where Bill is? Like, it must be getting kind of late. And here I am shadow banning him when he's about to... when it's late at night. Do you guys think this coat color is too yellow for the Armageddon Steel Legion? Obviously I'm going to highlight it a little bit, but should it be more beige to start with? I guess it's a little late for that, but... yeah. Tyler Peck says, favorite warband you've painted recently? Well, I painted some of my stallions yesterday, so that's a good answer, I suppose. Interesting that you ask warband specifically. Yeah, I'd have to go with the stallions for that, but you know what I did get recently, guys? I still haven't brought it downstairs. But I got a box of scabies for Necromunda. In the original box. So just imagine this box, but it says scabies on it, and it's full of scabies. So I'm excited about those guys. I want to have a bunch of Necromunda gangs and a bunch of Mordheim gangs ready to rock for when my brothers come visit me in September, so we can just quickly jump in and out of games if we feel like it. That would be really fun. Ardwolf says, needs to be desaturated a bit and dirtier. Yeah, I agree with that. Once it's washed down, the coat will be perfect. Okay. Captain Diomedes says it's a bit yellow. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see what it looks like on one of them once I start highlighting it with like an off-white color. Death Prince of Bel Air. You ever considered getting into Battletech? Not seriously. Not seriously. I saw some guys playing Battletech once, and it looked, you know, passably cool, but I've never really been super into mechs. I like the Zords in Power Rangers. Those are cool. Mechs that transform into each other and stuff, but you would call Battletech a mech, right? Battletechs, that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, Eric, have you seen Arbiter Ian's channel? Says Poppy Appletree. He does a lot of Necromunda content, and I reckon you'd like him. Is he the fellow who did the history of the Horus Heresy? Because I watched a video, I think that was him, and I did. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that quite a lot. And it seems like he's having some good uptake on his videos, and he's a pretty new creator, so good for him. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And I saw that he has more content that's probably up my alley, but that's the only one I've watched so far. Jesse Cabral says, hey Eric, what's your favorite army from Age of Sigmar? I would have to go with, what's the name of those guys? The Chaos ones. Slaves to Darkness. Because I think they still fit the Warhammer Fantasy Chaos Warriors aesthetic that I really like, but they kind of just, they did exactly what I like to see when a kit is upgraded, which is to say, they kept the aesthetic right down the same lines, and then they just made more interesting poses, and so you can seamlessly mix the two together. It doesn't look like there's no discontinuation between the models pre-upgrade and post-upgrade. Just the later ones are better. Bill's back, everybody. Hey. Death Prince of Bel Air says, don't say Lancer. I don't get it. Arman Sudath says, the best AOS army are the dwarfs. Do they even call them dwarfs anymore? There's Duardine, there's Fireslayers, there's Karadron Overlords. I don't know which one of those you would be referring to. Is Duardine still even a faction, or are they just Fireslayers and Karadron? Does anyone have the answer to that? But I have a Fantasy Dwarfs army that I picked up for pretty cheap, bit by bit, over the years. So, you know, I definitely like dwarfs. Karadron Overlords are a bit too steampunk for me. I'm not usually very into steampunk, with some few exceptions. I don't know, something about like the exposed clockwork type mechanical stuff. It's like a very specific aesthetic that like is kind of as a rule impractical. Like if you have something full of complex gears and stuff, it kind of needs a casing. Kind of needs to be protected from the elements, right? So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about steampunk. What are like the seminal works of steampunk? Like how did steampunk get so popular? Like what is it, guys? Are there animes that I'm missing? Is the only steampunk I can really think of that I know of is like Wild Wild West. That's like the only mainstream big steampunk property. If you guys are steampunk fans, that's probably going to really bother you that I said that. Bill says, ban me, I'm going to bed. You know what? Just because you asked me to, I'm not going to. How about that? You're welcome here, Bill. How does that feel? But good night. Good night, Bill. Duardine are folded into the Cities of Sigmar book. I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of 4th edition Warhammer had dwarves as part of the Empire as well. Interesting. I do think that's kind of fun, thinking of like a cosmopolitan empire with different dwarves and things and men. I'm still upset that there isn't a pure cavalry-focused army in Age of Sigmar that is adjacent to Old World Bretonia, says Joe P. Yeah. You know, I'm a big fan of the Old Bretonia models, obviously. And I often wonder if I would even enjoy a reboot, or if they would be too different, too fantasified, too much wispy plastic bits and dynamic poses and too much liberty with it. Because I mean, right now they're fairly straight historical knights, with a bit of, you know, mixing around. Like they've got, you know, jousting tournament crests on, and they've got you know, like 13th century Crusader helmets instead of, you know, the bassinets or whatever they would have from the 100 Years' War if they were actually. So there is a bit of a distinct visual component to them, which is why, you know, Fireforged Knights or other knights don't seem to tick that box exactly. But I often wonder what exactly Games Workshop would do to them if they updated them, and if I would approve of it or enjoy it. And I think it could go either way. They would almost certainly increase the scale, make them bigger, which is not usually something that makes me happy. Smackacor says, "Henlo, is this streaming stuff?" I think you meant hello, and yes, this is the stream. You're in the right place. Welcome to the stream. You are live. Leviathan by Scott Westerfield is a good steampunk book. I'm gonna write it down. Scott Westerfield. Thank you for that recommendation. The Start Collecting Anvil Guard are really cool box. Anvil Guard. I forget what Anvil Guard are. Sean Bark says, are there people who know the lore really well? Is it possible to have Genestealer Marines hybrids? That's a good question. I think I've heard people say before, and don't quote me on this, that Marines are not susceptible to being gene stolen on account of their transhuman physiology. But I could be wrong about that. Maybe somebody else knows better. Jesse Cabral says, yes, it is possible to have a Genestealer Marine. Do you have a source for that, Jesse? Is there a story or something, or a bit of Black Library that points to that? Because I would like to hear about that too. Grimbold17, ahoy hoy from Germany again. Steel Legion, I see. You see correctly. This is the Steel Legion. Eric Lee says, no, you can absolutely have Marine Gene Stealers, but they're not a good target for infection since they can't produce offspring. See, that makes sense. I knew there was something about them that made them not a good target. But you can still... Because, yeah, I guess, like, Gene Stealer cults are often, like, several generations into the infection, which is how they start to get those mutations. Is that right? I haven't read a lot about the Gene Stealer cults. So, a lot of people probably tuned in to talk about the Kill Team trailer, guys, so let's talk about that again. Did everybody watch it? And if they did, what was the most interesting part to you guys? Was there anything unexpected? Was there anything that you thought was particularly interesting or particularly off-putting? What did you think of that Orc's captain hat, for one? The George R. R. Martin hat that the one Orc had on. Yes, no? It was a bit reminiscent of, like, who are those fellas that sing YMCA? The Village People. Joe P says, I was surprised how brutal it was. Yeah, I can agree with that. That part where he just absolutely pulped the guy, and it happens off camera, but you just see the blood splatter all on his face. That was gnarly. That was, Hey Eric, do you think you could take Mistcast in a fight, but there are 3 Mistcasts? Trent is too nice. I would never fight Trent. Do you have any Beastmaster weirds and beasts for Necromunda? Yes, I have a. I have some of the little face hugger things. The old metal ones. I forget what they're called. Ripper Jacks. I have some Ripper Jacks. And I have some Bomb Rats for my Cawdor. I guess that counts, maybe, technically. And I have like a Beastmaster weird that is just kind of part of my Rat Skin Renegades. Let me see if I can pull him out. I think that's what he is. You can tell me. He's not fully painted, so we'll see. Where is that fella? Well, he's not in here, so never mind. But I also made the Cephalopod Spectre for my Delac. I made this guy from scratch. I'm pretty proud of this guy. He's got kind of that shock tentacle extended. I just made this guy out of some putty. Yeah, and that's... Does that count? I think they just came out with like a new cephalopod thing for the Delac, right? But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this guy. He kind of has the vibe of like those squids at the end of, what is that, Matrix 2 or Matrix 3? Both those wretched movies blend together for me. But yeah, that guy's kind of cool. So 3 miscasts means 12 army projects that they are thinking about. I think Eric will be able to distract them. Bold of you to assume that I'm not equally distracted with all my projects. S90 says George Orc Martin. Can we make that stick? The guy, the Orc Commando with the hat. Can we make that stick that he's George Orc Martin? I like that. This guy needs some metal. Let's paint some metal. Why couldn't they use the sniper more in the trailers? Says Armin Sudooth. Well, I think, you know, they were rotating between, like one guy would kill another guy, and then that guy would be killed by another guy. So they would just trying to cycle through to show you the whole team, right? So once the guy had, you know, with the long las shot the orc with the big shootout or whatever it was, they had to show you the bomb squig, and that's how you get the end of that. I did notice they were very inaccurate as things were running towards them. Irrational Gaz says, will you be kit bashing the new Kriegsmen to make new Steel Legion? No, probably not. If anything, I'd just give them a similar paint job. But I talked about this before. First of all, cutting off metal heads for head swaps is like a non-starter for me. I'm not interested in doing that. Cutting through metal is such a nightmare. I only do it when it's strictly worth it, and I don't think I need to do that. But I have a couple flavors of guard. I have Talarn Desert Warriors. I have Valhallans, and so I'm going to make a Talarn army that has, like, these guys will be part of my Talarn army, because they'll have sort of like the deserty colored trenches. And then I have another unit of Steel Legion that I'm going to paint in Valhallan colors. So they're just basically going to be... And then I guess I could use them on their own as Steel Legion as well. But that's kind of my rough plan for how that's going to shake out. Scott Daniker says, where do you get that cephalopod? I missed that. I made it from scratch, Scott. It is just a bunch of putty. You can see I used like a comb. I showed this technique in my pod racing video, which is you take a rope of putty and you just roll a comb across the top of it, like a rolling pin, and then it gives it these grooves, and then I just pinch together this sort of squid shaped head. And this is a piece from the Escher ladies sprue, and I put, I think, a little bit of like that lens there for its like little servo eye or whatever. It's just a little bit of plastic rod. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. It's probably kind of fragile because there's no wire inside this or anything. It's just putty. Orc Martin is now canon. I love it. Jesse Cabral asks, anybody here like Eons of Battle? I do. I like those guys. Scott Daniker says, "Is that milliput?" No, it is not. It's actually gray stuff, which is not a putty that I've used before or since. It's like a gray green stuff. It's a 2-part epoxy, but it's neither green stuff nor milliput. Do you play Kill Team, Eric? And so if so, who do you tend to play more? No, I mentioned earlier I've never played Kill Team. I actually got into 40k by first building a Kill Team and intending to play, and I never actually once played. But I play Necromunda, which satisfies my desire for skirmish games for the most part. So yeah, I definitely would like to play Kill Team if I found a group to play with, and there was a good group. I definitely like terrain-heavy games with larger focus on individuals. I think that's really a fun style of game. I bought the Kill Team rulebooks, so I'm ready to go, as far as I can tell. Sebastian is crying. Igor Yanoti says, learning Blender to make miniatures. That's a good idea. Did you follow the Blender Guru's tutorial to make a donut? Smakakor says, I'm doing Valstoyan Iceborne with painting up Vestroyans and Valhallans in the same red/gold/white scheme. Anyone know where to get more interesting parts for that? All metal, old GW, NPW. That's a good question. Well, the first thing I would say right off the top of my head is that the Valhallans are obviously heavily inspired by World War II Russians, so you might look into historicals, because you could find some inspiration or bits there. Victoria Miniatures, I think, is a good company for guard alternates. So you could check that out if you haven't already. Radu Lycan said, did you ever play Inquisitor? That's great fun and story focused. No, I never did. I really didn't like it when I was a kid, when I saw it come out. Like, it bothered me that they would just change the scale up like that. But it's grown on me as I've grown older, and I wish I had some of those Inquisitor models. If anybody's got some old ones they want to get rid of, then I could definitely be interested. But there's a community called the Inc 22, INQ, or 28, Inc 28, of guys who play Inquisitor games at 28mm scale, and they do all kinds of cool grimdark conversions and all sorts of stuff like that, and that's really interesting to me. So I'd be probably more likely to do that, because I like the idea of transferability between a lot of the stuff I've already made and a new system. Like, the idea of switching to 54mm just stresses me out a little bit. But yeah, the game concept itself sounds really cool to me. Sebastian asks, who are your miniature inspirations for kit bashing models as opposed to building terrain? Well, Pete the Wargamer is a really good one on YouTube. But my first inspiration was Mike McVie, who back in the day they used to call it converting. And I had a book from Games Workshop called it's called the Modeling Guide, the Citadel Modeling Guide. And that was really, interesting to me as a kid to see what he would make out of those stuff. And in particular, my favorite one that I saw was he made a Night Panther, out of unicorn model and some knight pieces, and he mimicked a classic John Blanche art piece where the Knight Panther is rearing up in sort of a pose that's like echoing the Napoleon crossing the Alps pose, like rearing and looking over to his right, and it's just really, really cool. So I'd love to do something like that, like a conversion to match a piece of artwork, because I feel like that could be really cool. Anyways, guys, it's getting to the point where I can hear my wife moving around in the kitchen upstairs, which means dinner is probably soon. And I didn't want to do too long today, but thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys all stopping by. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, but if some of you weren't here, I think I'm going to probably stream regularly on Thursday afternoons, starting around noon. That seems to be a cool time that I think is worth experimenting with. So tune in then if you guys are interested in catching another stream. I'm also going to continue to just jump into the streams whenever I feel like it, because I have fun doing this with you guys. Getting a little bit of my miniatures painted bit by bit, and then interacting with you guys is always fun for me. So leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, which would be surprising. I think I actually put the settings on today that you can't comment unless you're subscribed, so you guys must all be subscribed, so forget I said that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time on Eric's Hobby Workshop.